Hello, we're stood outside Grace Road, Leicester, and we're here for the start of our international summer. The sun is currently shining, we're really excited, and England are obviously starting their three-match ODI series against the West Indies today, Sid. So, how are we feeling?
Oh, I think we're pretty excited. It's always great to have a start of an international summer. It's great to see the weather hopefully behaving itself. It wasn't looking great earlier this week, but we've got blue sky with a few clouds in it. So looking forward to a day night today.
Absolutely. So we're really excited. It's possibly like quite low key though, a bit more low key than maybe normally would be for the start of an international series. Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, it does feel like that a little bit. I think that in some ways we might be running into like a bit of a perfect storm here because it's fairly low-key series compared to the Women's Ashes to come. It's obviously competing for cricket fans with the Men's World Cup, and it's competing for women's sports fans with the Women's Football World Cup, which is getting an awful lot of press and media attention at the moment. So it's going to be difficult for England to make a splash in terms of like the headlines and things, but hopefully they can still compete on the field despite that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it wasn't helped by the fact that the squad announcement, which was made a couple of days ago, as you wrote in your piece for the website, a little bit of a conservative squad announcement.
Yeah, squad announcement so conservative that I half expected Mark Robinson to make the announcement while running through a field of wheat.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to get that one, Sid. You might have to explain that.
It's a reference to our Conservative Prime Minister here in England, who said that the naughtiest thing she'd ever done was to run through a field of wheat.
Okay, yes. So Mark Robinson being quite conservative. Obviously, we're not seeing any of the youngsters who played in the World T20 who are in that squad, or indeed any of Freya Davies, who made her debut out in Sri Lanka. She's not in the squad. So it does feel like we've kind of reverted back a little bit, perhaps. The biggest surprise, I think, was not to see Sophia Dunkley in there, given how incredible her form has been at county. Were you surprised by that, Sid?
I was a little bit, yeah. I mean, I know that Div 2 runs don't necessarily count the value of Div 1 runs, and Fran Wilson, who's kind of competing for that late middle order spot, has also been in great touch. We saw Fran play a fantastic innings for Kent against Hampshire, didn't we? Yeah. But on the other hand, Sophia Dunkley scored 450 runs. That's way more runs than anybody else. Only Heather Knight is anywhere near her. So even if Div 2 runs don't count quite as high as Div 1, I think it's kind of a pity that they haven't really, reckoned with her. But maybe she'll get her chance in the T20s that are coming up.
Yeah, and this squad is only for the first two ODIs, so it may be that we see some changes later on. I asked Heather Knight about this on Tuesday when I spoke to her, and she just said that it's great for the players who are in the squad to have people kind of pushing through for a spot, because it means that they'll feel that they have to perform at their best. So, but yeah, we might see some changes after the first two ODIs. And who do we think is going to be playing today?
Well, I think that given the selections that we've seen, we're going to see a fairly conservative team selection as well. So I think we'll see, Amy Jones and Tammy Beaumont open the batting. Sarah Taylor, I think, is almost certain to play if she's fit, which we assume she is, because otherwise England wouldn't have included her. Then Nat Siver, Heather Knight. And then
Danny Wyatt in the middle.
Danny Wyatt, and then bowling wise, we're almost certainly going to see Anya and Catherine. I think that we'll see Laura Marsh turning it one way and Sophie Eccleston turning it the other. So there's really only one question mark, isn't there? And who's that question mark over, Raf?
A little bit of a question mark over whether Jenny Gunn will feature today. Obviously she'd be in my starting 11, but she's fighting it out for Fran Wilson, so it does depend on whether you think that England need a little bit of extra batting or maybe an extra bowler in their armoury. I think that Jenny Gunn's in pretty good nick. She's had a few good innings for Notts in the Women's County Championship, and she's taken some wickets, so she'd be my choice every time. How about you, Sid?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. I think they'll go with... I really suspect that if Georgia Elvis had been considered fit to play, then she would have played in this. The press release was pretty clear that the only reason Georgia Elvis wasn't selected was because she's still not completely fit. She did play for Sussex in the last round of the County Championship as a batsman, but she's obviously not ready to bowl at any level yet. So I think that if Elvis had been fit, she would have been in. I suspect that England will go with the most Elvis-like option, which is Jenny Gunn.
Okay. fair enough. Then let's think about things from a bit more of a West Indies perspective as well. How much are they going to be missing Deandra Dottin?
I think they're going to be missing her a lot, and I think they're going to be missing her in a way that you might not have expected if you looked at her, say 5 years ago. I think they're going to miss her bowling in particular. She's a really important part of their bowling attack because she'll provide them with 10 really solid overs. She'll be really economical, and she'll take a few wickets into the bargain. So I think they're really going to miss her bowling, and obviously they'll miss her batting as well. She's one of 3 superstars in this West Indies team. And if you're short of one of your superstars, it's always going to be difficult. You spoke to Heather Knight about this, right, Raf, as well?
Yeah, I did, and she said that the team had mixed emotions when they found out that Dottin wasn't going to be playing in this series. She said obviously there's an element of relief because they won't have to face her and it'll make things a bit easier, but she said also, and it is a bit of a sporting cliche, that you want to be playing against the best. I think in this context it matters particularly because they've got the Women's Ashes coming up later in the summer. That's obviously a very big deal, and it perhaps means that these matches won't be as useful a warm-up for the England team in order to get them in the right head frame for the Ashes as they might otherwise have been if they had been facing a full-strength West Indies.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I suppose the other side of that coin is, can anything prepare you for Australia? The kind of form and the quality of players that Australia have got, possibly nothing's going to prepare you anyway. But as it stands, I think that England have got a very good chance of winning all 3 of these games. They'll certainly be hopeful that they can do that. And let's see if they can start off with a win today in our day-nighter at Leicester.
Let's see.